Well, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How y'all doing? How y'all doing, should I say? Facebook Nation, you good? On this Tuesday morning, November, what is today, the 20th? My God, the year is like gone, guys. Where'd it go? This is Knowledge by Nikki with 1K and Knowledge by Nikki at 9. I'm back on, guys. I had to take a little hiatus. My life got crazy busy. So I had to take a little mini hiatus so I can kind of get some organization here. You know how it is. We work a lot, so sometimes things get a little discombobulated. So it was absolutely necessary for me to take a little break here so that I can get stuff going here. So I am still running on high, guys, from my Salon Owners Conference. I'm still running on high. It still is almost nostalgic to me when I talk about or think about all of the energy that I put into trying to learn this business thing, guys. Learn this salon business thing and then pass it on to you all. And it's just really overwhelming, the responses that the conference got. The conference was an absolute success. We are pushing forward to next year. We already got quite a few that have signed up. I'm just excited, guys. I hope you all are as excited as I am. Happy to be back online and talking to you all about the things that matter to me, which I hope help you grow. So yesterday we talked about one of my favorite little books. I got it right here in the car. And you're going to see it backwards, but I will tell you what it is. This is the book. It is 100 Things Successful People Do. And let me tell you what I have learned in my journey of reaching my level of success is I have learned to love to be a student of learning. I've loved to be a student that is constantly learning from other people who have even partially attained some of the things that I want to attain. So I have really enjoyed sitting down, talking to them, learning from them, just getting schooled. You got to be a student of learning. We talked about, I think, the first 39 of them. Let me see. No, we talked about the first 30 of them yesterday. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about, maybe we'll get through about 10. I'm actually on my way to the Apple Store. I think I live at the Apple Store, guys. Something is always going wrong, but I love Apple, so I'll never change because they have, I still say, the best customer service on the planet. And I love the fact I'm one of these people that I don't really do good when I have to do tutorials, or I need at some point, I'll do them. But at some point, I need to pick up the phone, talk to somebody. Chances are I won't even pay for your service if you don't have some actual person at some point if I get stumped that I can talk to. But let me talk a little bit more about this book. I'm going to put it up again. It's 100 Things Successful People Do. And these are exercises for successful living. It's by Nigel Cumberland. And I have read a lot of things, guys. I love little books like this that you can read because they're easy to read. This has to be in my top 5. It is in my top 5 books that I have read. As far as the information, guys, it is absolutely phenomenal. So let me go back through. I actually tore out the table of contents so I could talk to you all about some of the things that are in this book. We went through the first 30 of them yesterday. Let's talk about, actually, first 29. Let's talk about 30. We're on number 30. There are 100 things in this book. We're going to talk about number 30. Number 30 talks about living mindfully. If you want to really be successful, you have to do things on purpose. You cannot live haphazardly. At no point in your life, professionally or personally, if you want to be successful, should somebody ever ask you, why did you do something, and you have absolutely no idea why you did it. That should never happen. For those of you all out there that have kids, how many of you all have kids? And they do something and in your mind it's the stupidest thing that they could possibly have done. And you ask them, why did you do that? And when they can't give you an answer, it makes even the dumbest thing worse. Because you would rather they think it through, try to figure out why they did it, before it becomes a situation where they just have no clue why they did it. How many of us are living like that? There are several of us that are not living mindfully. We just living on a fly, not knowing why we do what we do, how we doing it, just existing. You cannot become successful living like that. It absolutely, positively will not happen. So this is number 30 in the book. You have to live mindfully. You have to know the what, the whys, the hows, all that stuff. You need to know what that is and why it is that you do what you do. So then we talk about another one. We're on number 31. And it's called Accepting Compromises. This is the book. Some of you all may not have been on yesterday. This is the book that I'm going based off of. And it's called 100 Things That Successful People Do by Nigel Cumberland. Really, really a great book. Get it. If y'all don't like reading, then do it on audiobook. They got it on there too. So I went through the first 29 of them yesterday because, God, there's a lot of them. So I'm going through the rest of them, and I'm going to break these down, and we're going to talk more about them as we go closer to the end of the year, because my goal is to change the way you think. You cannot be successful and still think the way unsuccessful people do. It doesn't work. So let's go on to the next one. So we're going to live mindfully. Number 31 is we're going to accept compromises. That means this is not Burger King. I don't care who you are and how great you think your ideas are. You cannot have everything your way. It just doesn't work. You have to be willing to accept reasonable compromises when it comes to partnerships, when it comes to your salon development. You have to be willing to allow some of the input of the people that work for you to possibly become real in some of the development of your salon. These are the compromises that are going to be necessary for you to grow and to be successful. So you got to accept compromise. And the book goes more in depth with this. I'm going to get to that after we get through our 100. Then it talks about be more than your 9 to 5. Now, most of us, salon industry people, barber people, estheticians, nail techs, we ain't never worked 9 to 5. We ain't never, ever done that. But let me tell you something I learned about when you want to attain higher levels of success. Even though you work longer hours, you may stand behind a chair or at a table or whatever capacity of this beauty industry you work in. What I believe this is saying, when it talks about more than a 9 to 5, it means that even the time that it requires for you to create, for you to process, for you to go back through what it is that you've done and maybe reassess and reinvent, we have to give that time as well. We good with standing behind a chair or standing behind a nail, or sitting behind a nail table or at a massage table. We can do that for long periods of time. But what happens is once that is done, then we cut off anything else. Being more than 9 to 5 means more than just doing your job from 9 to 5. It means you got to take time to think, to process, to see if what you're doing is working the way you need it to work. You got to do that type of stuff. Also, you got to give a day or some hours for you to think. Or as Gregory McKeown says in his book, Essentialism, he talks about you have to create space, meaning time, in your life to grow. I get up every single morning. My husband is used to it now. When I say every morning, I get up every morning between 4 and 5. Every single day. And when I get up, I have to drive. My car is my think tank. So I get up and I drive from probably about 5:30 a.m. to probably about 7 a.m. every single morning. No particular destination. I'm just all over driving wherever. I'm looking at property, but I'm literally in my car praying, talking, thinking. If people probably really assume if they see me regularly that I'm actually talking to somebody, but no, it's just me and God in my car. This is what I do. I have conditioned myself to, and I'm an early bird anyway, but that's real early. I have conditioned myself to get up early. I'm in a onesie. Usually in the morning, I get in my car. My car is garaged and my garage is heated. So thank God in Chicago, I don't have to go out in the cold per se. I get up, I get in my car, I drive, I have books, I have paper, I have pen, I have anything that I feel. Look, if I got bills I need to pay, I literally keep them in the car the night before. This is my time that I give myself the room to think, to grow, to process what happened yesterday, last week. Do I need to rearrange my day's events? Whatever it is, I give myself that time in the morning. So being more than 9 to 5, don't think that just means doing more hair. Don't think that just means cutting more, turning the clippers on longer. Don't think that just means massaging people longer. No, I'm not just in this book. I've read it already. It is not just talking about a job. It's talking about a space to grow and to be successful, to process the things you need to change, as well as the goals that you need to attain. Then the next one is called knowing yourself. It is amazing to me how I'm all over the place, in and out of the city, in and out of the country. And people walk around, they drive oblivious to other people being present. People are just in a fog. They're just not present with where they are and what they do. And what I find is people that exist that way through the world, where they're not even conscious of their surroundings as far as from a courteousness standpoint, they usually aren't aware of themselves either. Because being self-aware requires you to really, be honest with yourself about your shortcomings. I saw something on Facebook, and I'm going to try to quote it. Somebody had said something, the real characteristic of a man is knowing his flaws or knowing what he can't do. Or it was something to that nature, but it was a great statement, because being self-aware means when you feel a certain way, you got to know when you tripping, when other people tripping. You got to know when this ain't your surroundings that's got you in this frame. This is you. You got to know. Let me give you when I first started really becoming aware of myself, my limitations, everything. When I was going through my really hard times, for those of you all that have seen my video about not checking out, when I was going through those times, and I've always been in a position where people always wanted a lot of information from me. So people call me and say, girl, where should I go eat? I've just always been that girl, the concierge, if you want to call it that. Actually, one time I called myself the hair concierge. What I remember doing, though, is when I was in that 7 years of consecration, I call it, because it was 7 years that I had to exist in this place. I remember when people would call me that were used to me extending and helping them out. I remember knowing when I was not in the mental space to help anyone. And these are the things, this is the phrase that I came up with in that space, because I had learned some things about myself, and I didn't want to be snappy and be like, why you bothering me? I didn't want to come across like that. So this is what I would say. They would call me and I would say, you know what? I'd cut them off. Today, I only have enough for me. I only have enough to hold myself up. So I can't help you today. And they respected that. Now, don't mean they wouldn't call me back later. And later I might have been okay. But I learned to be aware of where I was emotionally, where I was physically, where I was financially. But that took practice. And it also took me no ego, no pride, just totally being humble and saying, look, God, I need to learn more about me. So I don't make the same mistakes again. So I don't find myself in the same positions again. You have also, let me tell you what I did. And I want to say this to women. I went through an absolutely awful divorce that cost me a lot, money and everything else. Before I started dating, before I started getting into another relationship, I pushed pause and I took some years out to figure me out. Because relationships now require you to go another direction. And I don't even know why I'm talking about this, but I know a lot of women, I know a lot of people that just can't stand being by themselves ever. I'm going to tell you something. If you really want to become more self-aware, you're going to have to embrace spending some time by yourself where you don't have other people pulling on you with these expectations. You're going to have to do that. So I took time. Now, how long you do it is on you. And I know each of us are different in that. But some of us spend so much time trying to just constantly keep moving that we never push pause and learn where our limitations are, what we need, what we don't need. So this book goes into that real deep. It talks about knowing yourself. That is key. You got to know yourself. You got to know what you are going to do, what you're not going to do. You got to know all of that. Another thing that I know about myself, I'm sitting here getting ready to go in Apple. I know I'm going to end up standing in line, but that's fine. I'm going to just be here. Is that I don't do good if I can't communicate with people. Meaning people that I am a communicator, talker. Not just text, not just email, not just digital communication. I need to be voice to voice and eventually face to face with the people that I deal with, or one or the other. So I won't even get people to service me. I won't even buy into a program or anything that does not have where I can actually get customer service, where I can talk to someone, where I can do something. Here's the name of the book for some of you. Here you go, Sharon. For some of you all that just chimed on, and I know it's backwards, but I'll read it for you. There's 100 things that successful people do. Little exercises for successful living by Nigel Cumberland. You can actually get it off of Amazon. It's real good. Okay. So I was saying that I really stay with Apple for their customer service. So for all of y'all Android people, it's about the customer service that keeps me with Apple. I know myself. When I get stumped, I need to be able to pick up a phone, or I need to be able to walk my stuff in a place and say, fix it. So I know that. So I'm willing to pay a premium sometimes to have that type of service, but that's from knowing myself. Embrace the journey of getting older. This is number 34. Some of us, I talk to people all the time and they get depressed when they have a birthday. I say either you get old or you die young. It is not a choice. One thing all of us can be promised is that you're going to get old and you're going to eventually die. What has to happen is when you find yourself getting into that mode where you're not happy about getting older, then you need to reevaluate why you're not happy. This is where you need to take some time and push pause. Are you not happy because you haven't met your goals? Are you not happy because you don't have whatever the things are that you need to have? I'm going to get into that as we talk more about these subject matters. That was actually yesterday. We talked about putting things into action. You can't just speak it, guys. It doesn't just happen. I started off yesterday by talking about a conference I went to some time ago. It was a women's business conference, and it talked about the only stability in your life that you can be promised is that which you create. You have a right to create the way you want your life to be. You have that option. If you just live not mindfully, which is the first thing I talked about, and stuff just happens and you don't have any input or any contributing factors to stuff just happening, because to do nothing, whether you all know it or not, is still a choice. To do nothing and let stuff happen is still a choice. So if you're not taking part in that, and I'm not saying control it, because no one controls the universe but God. But if you're not taking part of that and being more intentional about how things move through your life, then I guess I would be depressed every time I got older, because I'm not doing anything about it. So we're going to talk about that too. Be both an extrovert and an introvert. Let me talk about that. I have had these constant debates over people, what's an extrovert, what's an introvert. Most of us really don't know what those terms mean unless we define them, unless we actually Google, ask Siri, ask Alexa, ask somebody, what does this mean? Let me tell you what I did. I did some really in-depth research, and I actually wrote a paper on this wrote an article on this for somebody years ago about extroversion and introversion. It's not what people think it is. First of all, most people would not know this about me, but I am a true introvert. Now, the difference is introversion doesn't mean shy, doesn't mean, let me give you, I got them actually written down here. Let me tell you the different introverts and extroverts. These are the 4 different introverts. So you all just kind of write this down and Google them. You have what's called a social introvert. You have a thinking introvert, you have an anxious introvert, and you have a restrained introvert. A restrained introvert would be the people that are shy. They literally can't, they have a hard time even looking at people, almost like somebody autistic. Let me tell you, without getting too deep into these, because you can study these, I am what you call a social introvert. That means I have the ability to be as social, as approachable, as all of that. I can do all of that. It's not a problem because it's been my job for years. But if you give me the option, I would rather be by myself, or I don't do large groups of people well. Meaning in a more private situation. I prefer one-on-ones, small groups. This is what a social introvert is. We really prefer solace. I've been married for, if you count all the years together, I've been married for 25 years of my life. I still go to the movies by myself. I still take myself to dinner. And it ain't never been because I had to. I just prefer my own space. But let me tell, but I can turn it on and turn it off. That's what social introverts do. You hear people talk about performers that can go on stage and they can light it up. But if you take them off the stage, meaning social introverts have a zone that they work in. And when we're in our zone, we can do whatever. We can have 1 million people there when we're in our zone. But when we're not in there, in that zone, we don't prefer all those people. This is a simpler version too. For social introverts or any type of introvert, really, people, they expend their energy. That means we have enough energy stored up to do what we need to do. But when it's over, we are exhausted. Like mentally, physically, we are exhausted. We want to go behind the camera and turn it off and detach, because introverts, people pull from you and you become exhausted. Extroverts are different. Extroverts are energized by people. The more, the merrier. They gain their energy from people constantly, all the time. But now it says that you need to be an introvert and an extrovert. I know how to be extroverted, but listen to this. There are 4 types of extroverts. You have sensory extrovert, you have intuition extroverts, you have feelers, and you have thinkers. Now, I'm what you call a thinking extrovert. That's what I am. Let me break down what a thinking extrovert, because you got to be both if you want to be successful, because you're going to have to know when to do what. So let me tell you what a thinking extrovert is. And I had to learn this about myself. Is this the right phone here? I got too many phones. This is what a thinking extrovert is. This is me too. They come off as natural leaders. I've been that way all my life, because they are decisive and confident in nature. So if this is you, I'm speaking to you. They value logic first and then foremost focus on producing results. Anybody in my coaching group knows this is me. They enjoy creating structured systems that run efficiently and are goal-oriented individuals. Extroverted thinkings are really overachievers. That's what we are. I used to get people tell me all the time, girl, you just be doing too much. That's my natural. That's the extroverted part of me, because they get energy from working hard to reach goals and dreams that make them feel accomplished. They are driven by new challenges and enjoy finding solutions to difficult problems. That is 1,000% who I am. Now, there are 4, so look up who you are. You have sensory, intuitive or intuition, feelers, and thinkers. Okay? Feelers are people that are typically, I read up on those, they're very touchy-feely. Everything has to do with touch is where they get their inspiration from. There's a book I read forever ago, and some of you all may have read it, called The 5 Love Languages, or The 5 Languages of Love. It also, I forgot who wrote that. It's been so long. But it also kind of breaks down when you know you're in one of these areas or you really need to exist in both. It also helps you learn what your love language is. And let me tell you something. You generally operate professionally in your same love language. You do. You generally operate. My love language is acts of service all day. You ain't got to buy me nothing. You ain't got to sit with me because I'm a social introvert. But if I ask you to do something, I really need you to do it. That's my love language. If you don't do it, then we usually have some problems. Okay, so y'all read that book too. But let me finish because y'all know I got to get on in here to Apple or I'm going to be waiting for 3 hours, right? Then let's talk about, this is all for some of you all just coming on. This is the book. Gary Chapman. Thanks, Jen. This is the book. That's the 5 languages of love. It's old, but everybody need to read it. You see this? 100 things successful people do. We are going through 30 to, I'm going to try to get from 30 to 40, but it's a lot. And I got to get in this Apple store. This is by Nigel Cumberland. Excellent little book to read, okay? And then you also need to read this one. Y'all see this? This is the book that started me reading. Y'all see that? How successful people think. It's backwards, I know. But this is the book that started me reading. I didn't even read a lot until I read this book. So y'all need to get this too. So let's go to the next one. I talked to you about being an extrovert and an introvert. You have to learn how to operate in both. Because as you grow in your success, you're going to be put in situations where extroversion is needed. And you're going to be put in situations where introversion is needed. Meaning, if you're in a group, and they ain't with what you're with, you're going to need to pull yourself out. And we actually got one of those down at 38. It says, walk away from pollution. Y'all know what that means, right? But I don't want to skip. Live with an open mind. Let me tell you what that means. Your way is not the only way that people live that are happy. I find right now is probably the absolute perfect time to have this discussion. We have a president in office right now, and I have had to have this conversation with many of my black people that don't think just because a person is black that they are automatically a Democrat. That is not the case. And you can't get mad and pissed off at them if they're not. Whether you agree or disagree with Donald Trump, one thing that I have learned about living up to this stage in my life is I have to allow people, black, white, Chinese, whatever it is, to have their own perspective, and I have to respect that, even if I don't agree with it. And I have seen people, look, I have a client of mine. Now, this to me was a bit much. She has a cleaning service that was cleaning her home, and she is clearly not a Donald Trump fan. The cleaning service, I guess they pulled up in their van. She had never noticed it. And they got Donald Trump stickers all over the van and all this stuff. And I think they were Polish. And so they come in cleaning and they're having a conversation amongst each other about world events. And, it's on CNN every day. And she